Hey guys, now we're going to move on to the lower guitar tracks, which is kind of my favorite part of it. This part is also, to me, very memorable just because it's this kind of looming danger coming. It's very low and huge sounding and holding out the long notes, so I really like it, and it gives room for variation later in my arrangement. Anyhow, it starts off also with an F sharp, slides up a minor third to hit A, and then it goes down to a F natural or an E sharp. And then the second time I go up to a B flat or an A sharp. The cool thing is when you hear the different ways to do both of them, or you can put them both together too if you don't have two different guitars to split that sound. You can do them both at the same time like this. And that creates a perfect fourth from F natural to B flat. So once again, it's just all the way 10/8 notes, 10/8 notes, 10/8 notes. Or when you go up, 10/8 notes, 10/8 notes, 10/8 notes. But actually this is held out for 2 bars, so it's really 28 notes. Same thing for the F natural. And if you're doing both of them at the same time, you hold that out for 2 bars of 10/8. And it takes that theme and it carries it down a whole step, kind of like what it did earlier with the when it goes there and it moves down. That's exactly what this guy does. As that part keeps moving down, so does the low end. So now we go down to E natural from G flat or F sharp, whatever you want to say we were just on, and then it goes down a whole step. So now we're here and we're going to do that same exact theme modulated one whole step down. So E, G, and now E flat or D sharp. A flat or G sharp, whatever you want to consider that. And once again, you can put them both together if you'd like. On the recording I made, I actually double tracked that to make it thicker, but also so that you can hear the separation when those two notes hit. You can hear one guitar in your right or left ear hitting one of those notes, and then your left ear hitting the different note. And that, to me, gives it a more independency for the line movement. So if one goes down, you hear the movement going down. One goes up, you hear the movement going up, as opposed to the line happens and they both just happen at once and you really don't hear the kind of linearity of it. But that's just how I hear it, or how I like to hear it, individualistically like that. But you can play them both at the same time, but on my recording I did double track it so that I could get that motion happening. Anyhow, after it goes down to that E section, then it moves one more time just like the other part does and jumps down. So during the part where the F sharp and B are happening, that's when you get and all I'm doing is I'm just walking up a kind of a B minor scale, B minor pentatonic actually, and then a little bit of chromaticism, basically the blues minor scale right there. B, D, E, F sharp, F natural, F sharp, and that's basically the first half of the piece of the song. And as I said earlier in the aux tracks, that basically the entire song repeats itself. So it plays everything I just said, and then it goes back and identically repeats all the rest, all the patterns. However, what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to make it so monotonous and boring and just the same thing over and over again, I decided to take more liberties with the second half of the piece and adding more rhythmic variation, rests, triplets, mutes, just different things to kind of add a little more interest to an already awesome theme, but just giving it definitely a more prog or djenty type feel to it. We'll go over that next. Okay, now the second half is going to move a little bit faster, so feel free to pause or rewind to help you understand and learn it. Anyhow, we're going to come back to that F sharp, A, and then the F natural B flat type part. But this time we're going to add a little bit more rhythms to it. So the first part is going to go dotted quarter, 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 which kind of like I explained in the melodic guitar part section where 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's how I break the F sharp part out. So it's, and then now when it gets to the A part, it actually hits dotted quarter, quarter with an eighth, then quarter, quarter. So sounding like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then now on the F natural, this is where it gets really tricky. It has 4 16ths in a row, da, 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 2 16ths, and then 4 16ths more. So it starts the measure of 10/8 with 4 16th notes, and then has a few rests, a couple of 16th notes more, some more rest, and then it starts the next bar with the same 4 16th notes in a row, and then with the rest resting. So sounding like this. And that's how that part sounds. So all together it would sound like this. So that rhythm again is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 5E and a, if you wanted to count it as a 5/4 bar instead of a 10/8, because it might be easier to count it that way. That's kind of how I feel it. Anyhow, I feel it actually kind of halftime at that point instead of the typical theme where it feels that way. Da 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 da. This part, I kind of feel like it's halftime, da 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 da, da 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 da, like that. So, okay. So you can feel it whichever way you desire, whichever way helps you understand it. But that's just kind of a little bit of insight into what I think about or how I approach that lick. The second time it comes around to the F sharp, instead of going and repeating that, I once again take more variation with it, creating more interest in it. This time, instead of just playing dotted quarter notes, I'm playing actually all the eighth notes to the measure. So it's actually hitting, accenting on the first beat and muting the other two. So basically still taking the theme of the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and kind of emphasizing the accents that way. So it actually goes like this. And that's that part. And then once I drop low, we had a little bit of rhythmic interest here where it's just 1 and 2 and da 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 da. So that part's kind of cool. It still cuts it up into 2 3s and 2 2s, but 1 2 3, 1 2 3. The 2 2s, it's actually going to put a couple of 16th notes in there. So 1E and 2E and on those. Together, it would sound like this. 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 1 2, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4E and 5E and. Is basically the rhythm right there, and that can also be done on the B flat as well, or together. And then on the measure that repeats right after that, it's almost identical, but instead of having 2 16ths and an 8, 2 16ths and an 8 at the very ending, it actually just has all 16ths, so 4 16ths, 4 16ths, sounding something like this. And I'll play them back to back so you can hear the tiny difference there. One more time. So now moving on to the E section, I maintain that same rhythm I had from the F sharp part, which is 2 groups of 3 and 2 groups of 2. Once I get down here to the D sharp part, this is where this really tricky polyrhythmic type phrase comes in. It's actually a dotted 8th note to a 16th and then an 8th note rest. So it's really like a 6/16th note phrase on top of 2 bars of 10/8. And I know that sounds kind of complicated, and it really is to try to make it fit just right. But when you hear the context of the music in the background, especially the drums, it fits and sounds really cool and really, really progressive and technical. It sounds a little something like this. Now, as you can tell, I'm bending a little bit of quarter step bend, very chaotic. And how many times it actually takes for me to line up is 7 times. So I play this 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I have to jump right back on. I don't have any time to get back there. I don't have an 8th note rest like all the other ones do. This one goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But at the very last one, the 7th one, I don't give myself that rest because clearly I wouldn't have enough time to land on 1 again for the bar. So it's actually like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I have to jump right back on. Right after I hit that 16th note, 7. That's what kind of makes it hard. Anyhow, if you drill that, you'll probably end up getting it as well. You just have to break it apart like that. So anyhow, putting them together, because I repeat them literally verbatim, I play it once, and then it goes to that really cool polyrhythmic part, and then I just repeat that whole section again, sounding like this. So on and such forth. And now on to the third section that's in B, the B minor pentatonic, B minor blues section. Gets even more rhythmically complex, rhythmically interesting. So now, even though we're already in 10/8, which arguably could be a form of a triplet meter, a triple meter, because we are going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but then it has a double duple, so it's like a double triple and then a double duple. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. But I'm adding triplets to it that actually makes it even more complex and polyrhythmic. Let me show you what I'm doing here. I'm going triplet, and then in the next triplet I add a 16th note to the 8th note triplets. So it's 8th note triplets, then a 16th inside, da-da, and finish the triplet, da-da, and then I repeat that, triplet, 16 triple, and then one extra triplet at the end, triplet. So altogether, it's 5 triplets, because if you want to break 10/8 into quarter notes, it's 5/4, so you have 5 beats, and I'm breaking each of those 5 beats into triplets. So in a weird way, you could look at it like a bar of 15/8 in a different tempo, but let's not go into all the things we could get into in that Pandora's box there. But let's just say we have 5 quarter notes, and we break each one of those into 3 triplets. Okay, that's exactly what I'm doing. Triplet, 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 triplet. However, if let's say this is the first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, on the second and fourth ones, I add a 16th note onto the first 8th note triplet. So it's triple, 16 triple, triplet, 16 triple, triplet. Sounding a little something like this. is a pretty fancy rhythm, and all I'm doing is I'm just walking up that minor blues scale. B, D, E, F natural, and F sharp. Let me do it one more time for you. So that's the first time that I play through the B. Now it's going to repeat and go back around, but this time I don't do that. I do a brand new part. So this time I hit the B, and it actually whammies down if you have a whammy bar. That's actually, I recorded it with a guitar that has a whammy bar, but on this one I don't. So it's an 8 string, I can hit that B here on the low F sharp string and just slide, and it sounds very similar to what I'm doing with the whammy bar. So that's the first part for that B, and then when it goes up to the D, I hit some harmonics. Specifically, I hit an A, and then I get to the E, and I give it a quarter step bend, half step bend, and then a full step bend, and then I actually get to that F sharp that I was just full step bent into, and then this cool little lick that ends the song, which I'm kind of borrowing from the harmonic minor scale there, basically playing like a B harmonic minor scale starting from E and finishing up. So here I am on F sharp and then going from E, which is E, F sharp, G, A sharp, B, and then I end on the low B. So altogether that sounds a little like this. I hope that helped you guys with the theme. And that's it for the guitar parts on the Halloween theme. Stay tuned for the playthrough for each one. Instead of the da-na-na-na-na, I shouldn't sing on it.